we have seen the first jurist, Immanuel Kant, who has developed his theory of metaphysical school of law, or he has studied the law in a metaphysical way. Today we'll see the philosophical jurist Hegel. He has developed his theory during 18th century, and his theory was highly discussed and debated throughout the legal arena as such. And therefore, it is very important to study the important jurist Hegel. Hegel carried out further the Kant's doctrine of freedom of will. Hegel has carried out the doctrine of will, which is propounded by Immanuel Kant, doctrine of freedom of will. We have seen earlier what is the theory propounded by Immanuel Kant. According to Hegel, the purpose of making of law is to reconcile the conflicting egos in the society. Now, we have seen why the jurists have developed this theory of law or the theories of jurisprudence, because they have to find the answer for the questions of why the law has been made and how the law has been made. While giving the answer why the law has been made, the Hegel says the purpose of law or making of law is to reconcile or harmonize the conflicting egos in the society. Conflicting egos means there is always a tussle, there is always a fighting between egos in the society. Means egos which are there in the minds of different persons who are having dominant position in the society. Either they may be a political superior, they may be religious superior authority, or they may be the social leaders as such. But the job of law is to maintain that this can be achieved by the merger of self-centered consciousness of each ego, resulting in to universal consciousness. Means we have to merge means we have to surrender our individual will, which is given by the Immanuel Kant, that we have to surrender our personal will in conformity with the general will. While giving the definition of law, the Immanuel Kant has very much clarified that the individual's will shall be in conformity with the general will, and that is the object of law according to Kant. The same thing has been further supported by Hegel. He said that there should be merger of self-centered consciousness. सेल्फ कॉन्शियसनेस म्हणजे माणसाने फक्त स्वतःचाच विचार करायचा नाहीये, तर काय करायचं आहे, त्यांनी स्वतःच्या विचाराबरोबर समाजाचा देखील विचार करायचा आहे. दिस वे इट विल बिकम द युनिव्हर्सल कॉन्शियसनेस. जसं now during the pandemic situation, every person is trying to help another person, every society is trying to help another society. This is the universal consciousness. We are not here to live for ourselves, but we are here to give something back to the society, to the nation as such, to the universe as such. And therefore the job of law is to merge. We can achieve how we can reconcile the egos by way of merging our ego in universal ego or universal consciousness. Because the Hegel believed that various manifestations of social life, including law, are nothing but the result of an evolutionary dynamic process, and he opines that the idea of freedom has dominated man's mind throughout his struggle for existence. He said, according to Hegel, the idea of freedom, to being free from, say, religious boundings or from political boundings or from the social boundings, etc. Every person wants to be free, and therefore the idea of freedom has dominated or is a dominant in nature. Idea of freedom is every person wants to be free. This is a dominated man's mind. Every person wants to be free, man's mind, throughout his struggle. Means whenever we look at the history, what it suggests, every society, every person has tried to become free, either free from the British Empire, either free from the Mughal Empire, or free from the religious bondings, etc. Every person, every society wants to be free, and therefore this is the freedom of will. This is the society, this is the human history as such. Further, the Hegel has said, and this thought has developed the idea of Marxism. Please be careful. Man has successfully struggled for freedom. What Hegel has said, man has struggled. Man has successfully struggled. Not only struggled, but he achieved his target, successfully struggled for what? Struggle for freedom. For freedom. From whom? From the bondage of the church. In the Europe, there was an authority delivered to the church from the bondage of church, because the church, ecclesiastical jurisdiction, was having a very dominant position over the human society, and therefore in Europe, if we saw the history of Europe, there was a history that the churches was having dominant position over the society. Later on, the king and queens were having a dominant position over the society, and due to that struggle, there was a revolution, the French Revolution, there was an American Revolution, and this way they have established their own democracy. Democracy is not the fruit, but it is the outcome of the fighting. Okay, man has successfully struggled for freedom from the bondage of the church, which gave him temporal freedom. Which gave him temporal, means a temporary freedom. Temporal or temporal freedom means when man has, and now the communism says that we should fight against the religious authority, and therefore in India too, or in many countries where there is a communism, they are fighting against the religious leaders or the religious belief. In India, the similar process is going on. Temporal freedom means for the temporary in nature. This freedom, that is a freedom from the bondage of the church. Freedom from bondage of the church was temporary in nature. Then for achieving the permanent freedom, his resistance to tyrannical rule gave him legal government. This has gave him the legal government or the democracy as such. Legal government, and fight against economic enslavement brought him economic freedom. And fight against economic enslavement, आर्थिक जो काही दास्यत्व आहे, गुलामगिरी आहे, economic enslavement gave him economic freedom. Now here you can see that the seeds of communism is sown in this thought of Hegel. He is the person who have give inspiration to communism, socialism, or Karl Marx as such. And thus, Hegel has said that the fight against economic enslavement, the fight against the religious bondage of the church has gave them a temporal freedom. Thus, the society has always been changing, and so has the law to meet the exigencies of time has to change. Means the society is changing, or society is dynamic in nature, and so is the law, and so the law shall be changed to meet the exigencies of the society, to meet the needs of the society. Ultimate purpose of the law, the ultimate purpose of law is to reconcile the conflicting egos in the society. The Hegel has very first he made his idea of law clear, that the purpose of law is to reconcile the conflicting egos in the society. Then whenever the society changes, whenever there is egos in the society, whenever there is a problem in the society, the law shall also be changed. That is the point mentioned by the Hegel. I hope you are getting whatever I'm illustrating here. Okay. Further, Hegel has said that all laws, Hegel has said all laws therefore must conform to the dynamic changes in the society for the purposeful attainment of human perfection. All laws must conform to dynamic changes in the society. Means the law have to be changed, dynamic changes in society. And so we are witnessing now in India, various laws are changing the life and pattern of the society. All laws must conform to dynamic changes in society. Why? For the purposeful attainment. It is not only the attainment, but the purposeful, meaningful attainment, accomplishment, or achievement of human perfection, or human life as such. To live the life in its fullest extent, it is necessary that the law should change itself, that the law should be changed, and that is the object of law according to Hegel. Further, the Hegel has said that the state is a synthesis of family and civil society. Further, here the Hegel has supported the theory of authoritarianism. Hegel has supported the theory of authoritarianism, म्हणजे एकछत्री सत्ता असावी किंवा राजसत्ता असावी याच्यासाठी सपोर्ट करतोय हा. किंवा ऑटोक्रॅसी काय म्हणतात त्याला, एक छत्री अंमल असावा, राजा असावा किंवा कोणीतरी ऑटोक्रॅटिक असावा असं तो सजेस्ट करतो. द हेगेल हॅज सेड that the state synthesis means it is the outcome, it is the development, it is the synthesis of family and civil society. Means when the family and society collaborates with each other, comes together, the state is formed, and it is the unity of the universal principle of family and the particular principle of society and operation of the individual's freedom in the form of universal itself. He emphasized three kinds of functions of the state. Now here the Hegel has said how the state is formed. The state is formed as a synthesis of family and civil society. Means every family is the first institution of the society, and such societies gives rise to the development of institution of state, and therefore this state is formed for the purpose of discharging three functions. According to Hegel, every state has to discharge three functions, namely the universal function, the particular function, like a manager of a karta or a karta of a family joined in the family performs his duties. In the similar fashion, the state has to discharge certain duties and the individual aspect. The Hegel has divided the functions of the state in three categories or in a three different kinds. He said that there are certain universal functions, particular functions, and the universal aspect which has to be discharged by every state. What is the universal aspect? According to Hegel, the universal function consists of formulation of laws. Here, universal aspect means that every state is formed in order to formulate certain laws. Formulation of a law. Formulation of law is the important function of the state. Then, in a particular function, in a particular function, it includes application of law to special cases. Application of a law to special cases or individual cases. Means the state which has formulated that law, this law have to be implemented, or the law should have application for the special cases. Then and only it will be fruitful. And in the third case, the individual aspect, in the individual aspect is embodied in the monarch. Here what I am trying to say is that the monarch means a king, means authoritarian, and therefore this idea has further carried out by uh, Karl Marx, and stating that in communism we see that there is a authoritarian in nature. In communism, they do not believe in the democratic principles, but they do believe in the monarchism or the kingship, and therefore this is the development of Hegel. Okay, how he has developed the idea of monarchism. Thus, the Hegel is opposed to the democratic state. Hegel opposed to democratic state, opposed to democratic, and therefore there is a serious war between democratic countries and communist countries, as there is a war between China and India, because India is the classic example of it is the world's largest democracy, whereas the China is the world's largest communism. In India, we have combined the aspect of communism as well as franchise and universal franchise. Means he has said that there should be a monarch, or the individual aspect, means a single person or a single authority should control the whole law or the whole state. And his theory is based on the family function. How? According to Hegel, the state is not the embodiment of the common will or the will of the majority. Hegel has said state is not the embodiment of the commonwealth, means it is not the outcome of the commonwealth. Embodiment of common will or जनरल will, म्हणजे जसं आपण रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह डेमोक्रेसी स्वीकारलेली. रिप्रेझेंटेटिव्ह डेमोक्रेसी म्हणजे वी express our will by way of voting, and by this way our leaders, our political leaders are elected in the election, in general election. This is nothing but our embodiment. This is the expression of the common will of a person. We the people of India has developed this constitution, developed this nation as such. But the Hegel was opposed to this idea. Hegel believed that the state is the outcome of rational will, monarch being an embodiment of the individual function of the state. Hereditary monarchy is justified as a philosophical necessity. Huh? The state is not embodiment of the common will or the will of the majority or the will of majority, but he said that there should be a monarch, hereditary monarch, that is a king. म्हणजे परंपरेने चालत आलेला, किंवा जसं सध्या चालू आहे काँग्रेस घराण्याविषयी म्हटलं जातं की तिथे गांधी शिवाय दुसरं कोणीही राज्य करू शकत नाही. तर हेरिडिटरी म्हणजे वंशवाद, जो आता बॉलिवूड मध्ये पण आपण बघतोय, नेपोटिझम, that was supported by the Hegel. The Hegel was one of the supporting jurist. Hereditary monarch is justified. Is justified. आणि म्हणून आपण जर बघितलं रशियामध्ये असेल, पुतीनने स्वतःला रशियाचं अभिषिक्त सम्राट घोषित केलंय. किंवा इकडे आपण चायनामध्ये बघितलं, शी जिनपिंगने स्वतःला आजन्म चायनाचा अध्यक्ष म्हणून चूज केलेला आहे. टिल द एंड द शी जिनपिंग विल बी द चेअरपर्सन, विल बी द प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ China. He has himself declared it, and therefore the communist or the socialist are against the idea of democracy. They are opposed to the democracy, and therefore many of the people in India also who are supporting China, who are supporting Chinese thought or the communist thought, they do not believe in democratic principle. But we Indians have to survive, have to stick up to the democratic principle. Otherwise, authoritarian state will be a chaos, will be disaster for all the human society. Okay, according to Hegel, hereditary monarch is justified as a philosophical necessity, but every time the philosophical idea will not work. Though the communist idea are good to listen, are good to discuss, but they are practically a disastrous one. Like in China, there is no freedom of individual or freedom of speech and expression, or the individual freedom is denied in China. There is a total communism, and therefore, if in India we do want to have that communism, then we have to sacrifice all our freedom, because hereditary monarch will not allow you to have democratic freedoms. Okay, here we have seen the there is a lot of can be discussed about the theory which is propounded by the Hegel, but here we stop. Then in the next lecture we will see the theory of Kohler and Stamler. They were also the philosophical jurists. There are many such jurists, but we are not having that time to see all the jurists in detail. Okay, we'll see Stamler. Stamler was the neo-Kantian. He is known as neo, means whatever the Kant has developed the theory of freedom of will, the Stamler has developed his theory, the theory of Kant, in a new fashion. The Stamler during 1856, means in the 19th century, and in 20th century he has developed his idea. In the beginning of 20th century, Stamler has held a view that the two legal systems, historical and philosophical, he said there are two legal systems, historical and philosophical. despite all their differences in rules and principles, could work together in fulfillment of the social ideals. Means there are certain differences. There are certain differences in between these two. There are certain differences of rules. There are differences of laws, but still if they both work together, they can fulfill social ideals. Together, they can fulfill social ideals. Social ideals. And therefore, the Stamler has said or advocated an alternative theory of law. He has developed the alternative theory of law. And he opined that apart from positive law, which was investigative, there is a need for a just law. According to him, law is a just if it furthers social ideals, that is, harmonize individual interest with those of the society or social interest. Means, according to now here the Stamler is opposing the imperative theory of law or a positive theory of law, which we will see in our next lectures. Here the Stamler has said the law will become a just law. The law will be just law if that law deals with or furthers, if that law furthers social ideals. Social ideals or the social commitment, and therefore we see that the directive principles of the state policy Indian constitution are nothing but the social ideals. They are fundamental in the governance of the country. These are the social ideals, that is harmonize individual interest. What is social ideals? To harmonize social interest, to harmonize individual interest with the society or social interest. Individual interest, or we can say the fundamental right or the part 3 of the constitution, have to be harmonized with social interest. With social interest, this is the job of the law according to Stamler. And this way he has developed the theory of alternative theory of law. There are obviously two prerequisites for the fulfillment of social ideals. He has said there are two prerequisites, means two conditions shall be there in every society to fulfill these social ideals. They are, first, it is necessary to maintain proper interest of each individual. First, to maintain proper interest, that is, we should respect freedom of each individual, that is to maintain proper interest of each individual, each individual. And at the second place, social cooperation must ensure among them. Social cooperation, social cooperation must be ensured among them. And therefore in India, in the constitution, we saw that the preamble has said that the fraternity, integrity and unity of the nation must be there to achieve the freedom, to achieve the justice, to achieve the positive content of which can be fixed priorly. Okay, this way the Stamler has given his theory that social cooperation must be there.